So let us continue with our lecture. I think I have to continue with the laser part, which is in unit 3. After completing this, unit 3 will be complete. So laser, you know that light laser means the acronym is the light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So let us go deeper into that laser. What is laser? Where it is used? Before that, you know that let us concentrate on the properties of laser. You have observed the normal bulb and the laser light also you have seen, correct? See, normal bulb has polychromatic, that means it consists of various wavelength, whereas laser is monochromatic, it consists of only a single wavelength and single frequency. So it is coherent in nature. You already know what you mean by coherence. So if there are many number of light radiations, if I consider, or in other words, if I consider light particles, quanta, so each are coherent to each other, that means they have same phase relation or constant phase relation, that is of same phase or of constant phase difference. You already know what you mean by coherence. So but in a normal light it is non-coherent in nature. That is why I already explained, using a normal light we cannot create a two sources which are coherent, correct? Next one is directionality. So you know that laser light is highly directional. It may go in a very single direction, but here it scatters, it spreads. So normal light spreads, so it is non-directional, and it is of high intensity and it is of low intensity. Due to its special properties, the laser light is completely different from what we are using, sodium light or any normal bulb light. So it is completely different and it has some major applications also. You already heard nowadays laser light is used for many purposes. See, it is, since it is high directionality and it is having high intensity, even we can hold a diamond using a laser. I can cut the diamond using the laser. So in industries, laser cutting and laser drilling and laser welding, it is the most high efficient uses in industry purpose. And in hair removal treatment, you may come across some spa, some beauty salons where the hair removal is done during using laser. And even obstetric treatments like weight loss and all those can be done by laser. And even you have learnt about laser eye surgery also, and you learnt about laser printer also. Those are nowadays technical, we are using that because of laser. And also barcode reader in malls, they will punch the barcode and they will give the final bill, right? So that is also because of laser only. Now, before concentrating on how laser is created, what is laser, we should know the basic, that is Planck's quantum law. You know that according to Planck's quantum law, the light travels in the form of packets of energy called quanta or photon, and each packet contains a energy E is equal to h nu. So you already know this. See, for example, if I pour a water from one container to another container, and if I take a snapshot, then what happens, it is a continuous flow, correct? And if from one container to another container, if I am pouring some coins, okay, and I will take a snapshot, then what happens, some coins will be here, some coins will be here, some coins will be here. So he imagined light as not a continuous flow. It is also there, dual nature is also there, but here he is utilizing, it is moving in as a packets of energy from one point to another point, and those packets are known as photon. And each photon contains a energy which is equal to E is equal to h nu. So this is the basic law, you already know. So by knowing this, and we should know the three concepts, that is stimulated absorption, stimulated spontaneous emission, and stimulated emission. So you already know the basic structure of atom. At the center there is a nucleus, and surrounding the nucleus there are orbits, and we can call, you already know in chemistry, the first shell is known as K shell, and the number of electrons can be accommodated in a given shell is 2n square, where n is equal to the azimuthal quantum, what is that, n is equal to at shell number, or the orbital number you can call that as. So in a first shell, that is K shell, I can accommodate maximum of 2 electrons, and in the second shell, that is L shell, I can accommodate a maximum of 8 electrons, and in the third shell I can accommodate a maximum of 18 electrons, and there is a energy gap also, and the first shell is known as the first energy level E1, and the second shell is known as the second energy level E2, and the third shell is known as the third energy level E3. For example, if you consider a lithium atom and whose atomic number 3, so if you want to fill these 3 electrons in the K shell and L shell, it will be like that. K has the capacity of 2 electrons. First you will fill 2 electrons, and remaining 1 electron in the L shell. Correct? So this is how you fill. It's the natural state of lithium atom. Correct? But what happens if I stimulate, or if I pass a photon onto this electron? What happens? This electron gets energy and it's excited to the next state. So this is known as stimulated absorption. So in the case of stimulated absorption, after absorption, how can I show the lithium atom? In the ground level, or in the first energy state, there is only 1 electron, and one more electron has already jumped to the higher energy level, that is E2. Okay, and this is also known as excited state of atom, lithium atom particularly. Correct? And this process is known as stimulated absorption. That means by absorbing a energy, the electrons get jump to the higher energy state, and this is known as stimulated absorption. See, after jumping to the higher energy state, the electron cannot stay for a longer time or permanently. It will come back as soon as the time passes by 10 power minus 8 second, because every atom loves to have a lower energy state, or it loves to have a stability. It loves to attain the stability. But when this electron is in this level, so then the atom is highly unstable. So again this electron jumps back to its original ground level, but this time by releasing the energy, which is equal to E is equal to E2 minus E1. So if I want to move from E1 to E2, it will absorb the energy E2 minus E1. So if it comes back to E2 to E1, it will release us the energy E is equal to E2 minus E1. So in general, stimulated absorption can be shown like this. Before absorption, E1 is the ground level or the low energy state, and E2 is the higher energy state. It will absorb a photon. Photon will come towards like this. Then what happens after absorption? This electron jump to the E2. And in mathematically I can show like this. There is a natural state of atom. After getting the energy h nu, by going through the process stimulated absorption, it will comes in the form of excited state. So I have to mention it with A star. Okay, so this is before absorption and this is after absorption of energy. So spontaneous emission means you already know the electron cannot stay for a longer time. It will spontaneously come back without any aid of energy. Spontaneous means naturally. So without any aid of energy, and by releasing the energy. So spontaneous emission can be mathematically written as an atom is already in the excited state A star. When it undergoes the spontaneous emission, the atoms comes back to the natural state A by releasing the energy minus h nu. Okay, but if you consider, for example, 2 electrons coming back like this by releasing the 2 photons. Correct? First electron comes and the second electron comes. So by releasing the energy, 2 photons like this. But these 2 photons are not coherent, they are incoherent. So in order to attain the coherence, we should do something which is explained by the Einstein idea, that is known as stimulated emission. So what do you mean by stimulated emission? When the atom is already in excited state, so the another way of getting back the excited atom to its natural state is by passing the energy. So this is known as stimulated emission. So I will pass the energy by giving a photon hits on it by giving the energy of E is equal to h nu. So when it comes back, it releases 2 photons. So how it releases 2 photons? See, already ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಇದೆ. ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ನಾನು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ? ಇದರ ಹತ್ರ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ₹1 ಇದೆ, ಹೌದಾ? ಇನ್ನೂ ₹1 ನಾನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಬಟ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ಅಡಿಷ್ನಲ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದ ಅಡಿಷ್ನಲ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಳ್ಕೊಳುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ₹1 ಪ್ಲಸ್ ₹1, ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ 2 ಫೋಟಾನ್ಸ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಹೌ ಇಟ್ ರಿಲೀಸಸ್ 2 photons means, so it is already in excited state, that means it is already having the excess energy of h nu. When I give one more h nu, it releases both the energies and comes back to its natural state. So and now these two will be in the coherent state, that means they are having a same phase, they are having same frequency, they are having same amplitude, etc. Okay, now these two sources or these 2 photons acts like a coherent sources. And not only that, now the released photons can stimulate the another electron in the excited state, and this electron again gives rise to the 2 more. So this is known as, in this how amplification starts in the case of laser light. I will come back to that concept later. Anyway, you should understand this, what is stimulated absorption, spontaneous emission and stimulated emission. So stimulated emission, mathematically I can show like that. A star already in excited state, the atom is in excited state, absorbing a photon of energy h nu, it will give rise to A plus 2 h nu. And remember, h nu will always be equal to the energy difference between the energy state, E2 minus E1. If you give this amount of energy only, then the ground state electron will jump to the higher energy state, and when a higher energy electron comes back to the ground state, it releases the same energy, E2 minus E1. Okay, next we need to concentrate on Einstein coefficients according to your syllabus. See, if you write mathematically the stimulated absorption, you will get one coefficient, that is B12, and spontaneous emission if you write, you will get A21, and stimulated emission if you write, you will get B21. See, in stimulated and spontaneous, the electron jumps from second energy state E2 to E1, or higher energy state to the lower energy state. That is why the subscriptions 21 and 21 here it's in stimulated absorption, the electron jumps from E1 to E2, therefore the subscription 1 2 is there. Anyway, all these B12, A21 and B21 are known as Einstein coefficients. So you have to find the relationship between those two, or you have to derive an expression for all the 3. So this is known as the relationship between Einstein coefficients. So this is most important question, it is repeated so many times. Anyway, for stimulated absorption, the rate of stimulated absorption is a common observation that, so first of all, there should be available number of electrons should be present in the E1 level, then only it can jump to the E2 level. So if there is no electron, whatever the energy I will supply, then what happens? There is no stimulated absorption takes place. So it is a common observation that, or the experimental observation that, the rate of stimulated absorption RSTA is proportional to N1. N1 means the number of atoms or the number of electrons present in the ground state or in the E1 state. N2 is the number of atoms present in the excited state. See, since I am doing this for a huge material, I am not concentrating on one atom. Anyway, this process happens inside the atom. I am not concentrating on one atom. if you consider a single system, I will be concentrating on the total number of atoms which are in the ground energy state. For example, if this is excited to E2 and if this is excited to E2, in this system, the total number of atoms present in the ground state will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and the total number of atoms which is present in the excited state will be 2. So that is why I say instead of electron, number of atoms. So the number of atoms, because I am concentrating on a whole system now. Okay, N1 means the number of atoms present in E1, that is ground state, and N2 means the number of atoms present in E2. Okay, so it also depends on the energy density. So what do you mean by energy density? See how much energy is contained per unit volume. So while passing the electron, practically I cannot pass one photon. I will just give the light energy on this electron. Okay. So in this light energy, how many photons are present per unit volume of the source? Okay, this is known as, or how much energy is present, or how much energy packet is present, or how much photon is present per unit volume of the source. So it is practically giving one photon is not possible. Just for explaining purpose I have shown like that. Okay, so anyway, it also depends on the energy density of the source. So I can write R stimulated absorption is proportional to both N1 and energy density. See, sometimes energy density in some books it is also represented by rho of nu. Density usually represented by rho. Energy density is represented by rho nu. Or in some books it is represented by U of nu, because energy density is basically we will be concentrating on potential energy, something like that. They took U of nu, something like that. So I will take energy density as E of nu in general. Okay, so if I remove the proportionality constant, I can introduce a remove the proportionality symbol, I can introduce a proportionality constant B12. Similarly, spontaneous emission depends only on the number of atoms present in the E2. So if there is no atoms, means spontaneous emission is not possible. There should be some atoms present in the excited state, that is in the E2 level, correct? And it doesn't needs any energy. Even it gives out some energy, but it doesn't needs some energy to start its process, that is spontaneous process. So it depends only on the number of particles. So if I remove the proportionality symbol, here I can introduce a constant A21 and I will call this as equation number 2. Similarly, for rate of stimulated emission is proportional to both number of particles or the number of atoms present in E2, and it is also depends on the energy density. And if I remove the proportionality symbol, I can write the proportionality constant B21 and the equation like this. I will call this equation as equation number 3. Okay. See, from thermal equilibrium, the number of photons absorbed per second must be equal to the number of photons emits per second. See, if you can't understand this technical word, you can imagine like this. See, I have 4 students here. Okay, all the 4 students went to they went to see some place here. Okay, some come backs by bus and some come backs by train. Anyway, totally how much should come back? 4 should come back. So all should go in a say for example they have gone in a say through some common way. Sorry, it is already 2 o'clock. I'm getting sleepy, I'm very sorry. So some should get they already gone in the same way, but while coming back someone will come back through bus and someone will come back through train. So I should get back 4 students again, correct, while taking the attendance. So here due to stimulated absorption, how many particles excited, and they should come back either through spontaneous emission or through the stimulated emission. So I can write like this: rate of stimulated absorption must be equal to rate of spontaneous emission plus rate of stimulated emission. So I will substitute these values from equations 1, 2 and 3. Then I will get like this. Okay, B12 N1 E of nu is equal to A21 N2 plus B21 N. Just substitute those values. Now I will take E of nu term to this side and I will take E of nu common. So then I will get B12 N1 minus B21 N2, and this is A21 N2 as it is. Now I will retain E of nu and I will take this term to the denominator. So I can write like this. Now what I will do, I will take B21 N2 common in the denominator. So I will be left with, first term is B12 N1 divided by B21 N2 minus 1. Okay, see N2 N2 get cancels. So I can write E of nu as A21 by B21 into 1 over B12 by B21 into N1 by N2 minus 1. The same thing I am arranging in a clear manner. That's it. I will call this as equation number 4. See, according to Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law, it is in your chemistry syllabus, I think. Please remember, okay, the ratio of number of atoms N1 and N2 in energy states E1 and E2 at temperature T is given by N1 by N2 is equal to e to the power of E2 minus E1 divided by KBT, where Kb is known as Boltzmann constant and T is the constant temperature, E2 is the energy of the second level and E1 is the energy of the ground level. As usual, you know, number of atoms in ground level and the number of atoms in second energy state E2. Okay, N1 by N2 is equal to, see, according to our definition, E2 minus E1 must be equal to the h nu. Correct? Therefore, I can write N1 by N2 is equal to e power h nu by Kb into T. I will call this as equation number 5. So, I will substitute this N1 by N2 from equation 5 in equation 4. So, I can write like this: E of nu, and this is as it is, 1 over this is as it is, and in the place of N1 by N2 I am replacing this term and minus 1 as it is. See, someone while writing will put a bracket. See, then that becomes mathematically it is wrong. So just in the place of N1 by N2 you have to write, and the minus whole minus 1 is there. To entire this term there is minus 1 is there. Okay. Next what I will do, from Planck's law of radiation, please, there is no, I don't want to derive this. So you have already learned Planck's law, but mathematically Planck's law of radiation is given in this form: E of nu is equal to 8 pi h nu cube by c cube. You know that already. C is velocity of light, nu is the frequency, h is Planck's constant, and 1 over e to the power of h nu by kbt minus 1. Here also kb means Boltzmann constant, T means temperature, h means Planck's constant, and nu is frequency. This is mathematically form. Check with some textbook or Google it, you will get back this. Okay. Now I will compare the equation 7 and this equation 6. I think my camera is also in sleepy mood. Okay. See, in the place of A21 by B21, this term is there, and here 1 over e power h nu by kbt minus 1 is there, but in the place of this there is a coefficient 1 is there. So by comparing, I can write this term as A21 by B21 and this term in the coefficient 1 is there, that is nothing but there in that expression B12 by B21. So or B12 is equal to B21. So I can write here B21 or B12. So in general, since there is no description whether I can write B12 or B21, so in general there someone will write this as A by B is equal to 8 pi h nu cube by c cube. Okay. Anyway, these A21, B21 and B12 are the Einstein coefficient, and this is the expression for Einstein coefficient or the relation between the Einstein coefficients. Okay, I will stop at this point and I will continue in the next class. Thank you.